Here's why you can't afford to wait on earning an income or growing a business during the pandemic isolation. As traditional offices close and people work from home, it could be tempting to think that you need to take time off from your career, or that it's impossible to make sales during an unpredictable economy, or that a long overdue Netflix binge qualifies as quality personal development. But the hard truth is that in a few months, once these initial isolation restrictions are lifted, and they will be, you'll go back out into the real world and you'll be behind. Worse, you might be broke. In the meantime, there will have been other companies and individual professionals who spent several months learning new skills, coming up with creative new offerings, maintaining at least somewhat of a cash base, and probably even have had some new customers driven their way because of these unusual circumstances. So once the pandemic is over, you might not be ready to outcompete them. And truthfully, they, your former customers, or for some of you, your current or former employers, might discover that they no longer need what you had been offering in the face of some of these newer and more creative offerings that are coming to the forefront. So this is the message that I have been drilling into the heads of the CEOs, small business owners, and ambitious professionals who work with me on a monthly basis during their cosmic coaching sessions. The hard truth is that if you don't go out of business during the pandemic, you might end up out of the game after the pandemic unless you're actively pivoting now. I've refocused all of my cosmic coaching sessions to focus individual professionals on the most profitable activities that they can be pursuing according to their personal horoscopes. So in this video, we're going to talk about what are some of the most profitable activities that you can be working on during the month of April in isolation to either grow your business, advance your career, or enrich your personal life. But before we dive into forecasting, here's some important insight on how to use the astrological system to your advantage and the difference between general horoscopes and your real personal horoscope. So when reading horoscopes, or in this case, listening to them on the internet or in a magazine or on an app on your phone, realize three things. Number one, they're general. It's not your real horoscope. It's an overall prediction of what's happening for a collective population that shares a similar birthday to you. And it only considers one of 11 astronomical bodies, the sun, to be specific. Whereas your real personal horoscope takes into account all of the astronomical bodies and what's happening with them at a present time. Number two, general horoscopes are actually written for your rising sign, not your sun sign. So when writing overall general horoscopes, astrologers such as myself place the sun at the sky's horizon line throughout the varying 24 hours in a day throughout the month, so that the sun takes a pass basically through each zodiac sign. When we write the general horoscope, we're actually talking about what's happening when the sun crosses into each sign. So this will likely differ from when your real sun crossed the horizon line, which would be based on the time that you were born. So when you're reading or listening to a freebie horoscope like this one, actually read the scope for your rising sign in addition to the one that's your traditional sun sign, so that way you can get a little more accurate sense of timing. So what do you do if you don't know your rising sign? Well, you just use a free app. My favorite is the one provided by astro.com, or you ask a professional astrologer such as myself. You will need to know your accurate birth time. So what do you do if you don't know your birth time? That's okay. Check your birth certificate. It's typically on there. And when in doubt, always ask mom. You being born was a pretty momentous occasion for her. So typically moms remember. And if it's not on your birth certificate and mom doesn't know or mom's not around anymore, it's totally okay to stick with reading the general overall horoscope for your traditional sun sign that's just simply based on the date that you were born. You just have to acknowledge that the timing is going to be a little more broad since you don't know your specific birth time. Now, the final thing to realize, number 3, is that real personal horoscopes are the only way to get complete and accurate predictions. Why is that so? Astrology works because it's math-based. Only when we use all of the mathematical variables of your individual birth date, birth time, and birth location can you really calculate a quality forecast. So while free general horoscopes, like this one, are great for quick insight, don't sell your home or get married based on a freebie horoscope. You need to see a professional. And a final note, for all of the skeptics, naysayers, and those who aren't sure if they believe in astrology, guess what, guys? It's not magic, it's math. Astrologers map the sky the same way that your Uber driver maps your ride. We use longitude, latitude, speed, and time. So does it seem magical that your Uber app can tell you what time your ride is going to get picked up, if there's going to be any delays or detours on the route, and what time your ride will arrive? Of course not. It makes perfect sense. So guess what? Uber and astrologers use the same magical mathematical fairy dust. Now, let's get down to business. Here are my suggestions for the month of April 2020 for all 12 of the following zodiac signs. And based on what we just discussed, remember that you might be better positioned to also listen for your rising sign in addition to your traditional sun sign. If you don't know your rising sign, you can go to a free app like astro.com or send me a message. You'll have to know your birth time and we can tell you what it is. And if you just don't know your birth time, then stick with your traditional sun sign horoscope. It's a great place for you to start. Better to have something than nothing at all. Let's begin with the first sign of the zodiac. So this is for Aries or Aries rising. My advice to you for the month of April is engage in social networking to improve your standing as a leader or as a boss by kind of telling others what you're interested in and what you're doing. Market your efforts a little bit. So this may actually attract some collaborators or facilitate some teamwork eventually that boosts a few bucks closer to April 10th and 11th. So this is an excellent time to get active in hobbies or charitable ventures that you're normally too busy to pursue. Check out apps like Budge or Charity Miles for creative ways to earn donation money and select your favorite charity that you want to give them to. Things like Budge and Charity Miles will give you 25 cents for every mile you run or bike. And sometimes too, you can even place a friendly bet with a friend and whichever one of you loses has to donate $1 to charity. What a fun way to get in the game. And so what if you and your company could donate some extra supplies or funds to the pandemic efforts? Or maybe even consider too if you would offer your customers a charitable kickback when they purchase from you. Like if somebody buys something from you, you give 10% to something that has to do with assisting the coronavirus resolution. So these endeavors are going to get you more connected in your immediate community, which could pay off later in the fall when someone that you met through charitable giving or hobbies could eventually offer you a job or promote your brand later on. So certainly it'll leave you regarded very highly, at least by present company. You're also most effective during the first 2 weeks of April and prior to about April 20th. My favorite dates for you are the 4-day spread between April 14th and April 18th. Go ahead and get starstruck at that time, Aries. Moving on to our earth signs, Taurus or Taurus rising. My advice to you for the month of April is to demonstrate leadership through personal instruction. Taking charge reinforces your position that you're the person to be trusted as an industry or company thought leader in both prosperous times as well as stressful times. So many people right now, they're scared. they're unsure, they're frantic even during the COVID crisis, and their unspoken craving is for security, calm, and practical resourcefulness that, as an earth sign, you naturally provide. People need to see you this month. So they want reassurance that you're the person to place their money and their trust in. Because they need to see you this month, I suggest rallying a digital team meeting using something like Zoom, or send a live video message to customers using something like the Quick app or Vimeo. Consider doing a step-by-step explanation or step-by-step demonstration of what customers could be doing relative to your product or service expertise to either mitigate loss or maybe even enhance their situation. They're going to see you even if they can't see you literally right now. And I suggest that you target your audiences after April 19th. So do the planning before April 19th, but start really disseminating the message in the second half of the month, April 19th through May. And you're especially effective during April 21st and 22nd, and then again during a 4-day window from about April 26th through 30th. Moving on to the first air sign of the zodiac. This is for Gemini and Gemini rising for the month of April 2020. My advice to you is spiff up appearances. Make yourself look good online by updating your brand website, editing your professional LinkedIn profile, adding some new pictures of your product or service, and making sure that your brand has an effective social media page. I highly suggest that you consider hiring a social media or marketing consultant. One of my favorites is Crescent Creative Group, because right now the whole world just went online for all of their business needs, and you need to look relevant. So you're especially able to turn this concept of superficial appearances into real business savvy early in the month around April 3rd and 4th, and then again about mid-month, April 17th through 18th. In fact, you might be happily surprised at the positive bounce your new looks receive for an extended period of time from about April through August. Also, it's a good idea to publish some of your expert advice on a blog or in a newsletter, and even better to share insights live on video using a platform like YouTube or maybe a social platform. Your angles specifically this month should be fun, light, and creative, because right now you kind of want to lighten the heavier circumstances. People are looking for answers during this global confusion, so lend your sage wisdom even to like a professional publication. One of my favorites is always a local city business journal. In my city, that's the Houston Business Journal. I'm sure your city might have one. Or link with a publicist. One of my favorites is Pop Studios PR, because that publicist can help connect you to larger media broadcasting platforms to reach a larger audience. My advice for Cancer and Cancer rising for the month of April 2020 is to protect or enhance your reputation through a partnership. So you may need to divide resources in a business to protect yourself against some losses, or perhaps it's that you need to align your resources with a partner and leverage them for a little bit of stability. You'll know whichever one it is really early in the month, close to around April 1st through 4th. Consider your financial and material involvements with others. How could they be secured during the pandemic? Temporarily putting pocketbooks together could be beneficial, or in some cases, you may need to separate assets to avoid sinking if you're trying to swim and your business partner or romantic partner is sinking financially or materially. So finalize some of your decisions about these financial involvements around April 25th. So you've pretty much got all month to figure it out and work on it. Plus, it's really smart for you to see what kind of banking and government resources are available to you based on your business classification, such as the U.S. Small Business loan is out right now. You may need qualify or need to apply for that. Also, see if based on your personal classification, you might be able to get some perks, such as individuals who can demonstrate hardship or unemployment. You might be able to get flexibility on rent payments, utility payments, and other items. So think carefully too about whether it's most advantageous for you to file taxes in April or wait till the extended deadline in July. That's relevant for the United States if you're watching. See if there's really any difference between when you offload the cash in your business. Would it be easier to do it now or better for you to do it later in July? Also, as a side note, on a more personal level, it could be that either a family or household member helps you in this process, or maybe that they come to you for help in this process. Okay, now for my Leo and Leo rising sign friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is to seek helpers to get work done or to secure your health. So you may lean on supportive interpersonal relationships this month to accomplish even some of the most basic daily tasks during the pandemic. And you might realize that it would be really valuable for you to keep these helpers even after the chaos is over. So consider hiring a virtual assistant through a program like Upwork, or utilizing the cool grocery and errand apps like Favor or Instacart. And you might even consider buying a meal prep service. My favorite is the Purple Carrot. So the ease of assistance could shed light on some areas of your life that you've needed to alleviate stress for a long time, and you had been dragging your feet on asking for help or for slowing down to let others help you. So it's going to free up your time and it's going to mitigate your stress levels. This is going to be good for your mental health, but let's be honest, in situations like these, it's important to have your own good physical health as well. And this will help in that. So this is going to keep you safer, keep you more in the house, which is great. Also, be aware that it could be a slightly challenging circumstance around April 7th that actually prompts you into finally taking action to get the help you've needed for a long time. Now, word of warning, careful, my Leo friends, not to get bossy with your helpers, especially if one of your beloveds is the helper. So the second half of the month is more effective for you, probably from around April 19th through 30th, and you're feeling especially innovative on April 26th. My Virgo friends, Virgo and Virgo rising, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is to keep an active schedule of career-oriented tasks to maintain money momentum. So it could really be tempting during this work-at-home era to overindulge in leisure. But this month, it's best if you stick to a clear plan. So you should have some business initiatives that you plan to accomplish weekly, daily, and Virgo, even hourly. So I highly suggest, as Master Business Coach Marie Forleo always says, strive for progress, not for perfection. So lay out the road ahead using like one of those great milestone planners from Freedom Mastery. I get mine every year. It's laying here somewhere in my home office. I love it. So Freedom Mastery provides great monthly, daily, yearly, hourly planners. And you might even consider using a task mastering app like Asana to keep you on course. Also, I suggest that you plan the entire week ahead, and then every night before bed, you go ahead and update and revise what the next day should look like, so you feel like you're constantly brushing through your schedule with a fine-tooth comb and really tackling what's most priority for you. If done effectively, you're actually poised to have some of your efforts that had launched during fall of 2019 actually start to become maybe a little profitable for you in spite of the circumstances. And you're also poised to generate some new income leads during the third week of April. So, Virgos, if you're feeling a little antsy during the workday, go ahead and take a break for physical activity. That way, you're taking a break but still being constructive. Now, try the popular new fitness app called Center that was designed by the famous Thor movie actor Chris Hemsworth. Who doesn't love that? Or even to keep you active while you're productive, give the Uplift standing desk a shot. So that way you're physically kind of moving while you're doing all of your important work tasks. My Libra and Libra rising friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is that you need to get educated about creative options. So if your business or career feels really stuck right now, embracing non-traditional solutions is really your best bet. And the great news is you don't have to think yourself out of the box on your own. That's what other people are for. So I highly suggest that you invest in an expert. Consider talking to a business manager, a sales manager, or a mergers and acquisitions manager. The one I refer all my clients to is Murphy Business Services. And also too, one of my favorite financial advisory groups is White Rhino Financial and Rethink Wealth. So as a business person, there's no way you could possibly know all of your options, especially in an unusual situation like what we're going through in the world. That's why the experts are there. They're going to coach you through this. Let them work their magic and help you figure out the best next step for you personally or for your business. So consider also too that your local community might have some business resource centers. So in Houston, where I'm from, the Greater Houston Partnership is an organization that is going to have tons of business resources for you, and also another small business organization called SCORE. So let someone else guide you through the possibilities of answering that question. Oh my God, what do I do now? And especially around April 7th, there is a full moon in your zodiac sign. So this is the perfect time for you to get started on those initiatives. Now, the focus is to gather applications and informative literature so you can discover what the potential options are, not necessarily to make a final decision just yet. Just get going on it, okay? And also too, for some, it may be that a passion project could help command a little bit of extra cash at home right now. So whether it's you're sewing something or selling it online or teaching an online class, take one of your passion projects, offer it to people who might be interested, and hey, a few bucks matters in a world like this. So for those who are at home with little ones trying to manage a career as well as homeschooling, honestly, this month, April, is gonna be a handful for you. So I've got some resources to help you out. Check out the Homeschool Helper app or the Chore Pad app, because those can really help organize your kids' days from schoolwork to chores to playtime and make things feel less chaotic. Plus, they're really fun and entertaining, and they're absolutely family safe. Also, Tutorville is a stellar resource for finding a perfect subject matter expert for the different subject areas that your kids are learning that you may not be an expert in, but guess what? Someone else is. So definitely check out Tutorville. Also, getting control of your business home base or your household is really the most important thing for you early around April 4th and then again around April 25th. For my Scorpio and Scorpio rising friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is that you need to secure the headquarters to halt any potential cash calamities. So home base is going to be under fire this month unless you're ahead of the game. You've got to realize that employees or coworkers are going to be feeling disorganized and stressed and unsure unless you take the reins. So this is especially true if your team morale is low right now or if your family morale is low right now. So temporarily minimize your headquarters expenses as much as possible by looking into deferred rent or deferred mortgage payments and seeing if there's maybe an option to refinance or renegotiate terms in some way. Also, when it comes to refinancing with the new low Federal Reserve interest rates, that might be a real possibility for you. Also, consider this too. Sell off some excess property or excess supplies to either another business that needs it or to something that's involved with this rescue effort for the coronavirus era. So check out apps like OfferUp for the buying and selling of necessary goods in your kind of immediate community, because that could be great cash for you and potentially an awesome involvement in a cause that really needs it right now. So non-essential staff, consider respectfully perhaps furloughing them just for the time being until the economy picks up again. On a personal level, you may feel really unsettled either in your household or the actual physical space where you're living right now, especially if you're stuck in a different country or in a different city than you normally are due to the quarantine rules, or if you've got some family stuff going on, especially if you're stuck in one place and you have family stuck elsewhere. So just recognize that you in your domestic space may feel a little unsettled this month. The first week of April feels psychically the most heavy for you, but you start to get into gear around April 9th and 10th. And underneath it all, Scorpio, you may be longing for the support of either a business partner or perhaps a personal companion during these hard times, even though you're quite the independent individual. Now, for my Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is that you need to seed new work opportunities. This is especially true if you're unemployed or business is slow right now. So most likely for you in the month of April, it's an old friend or a neighbor or a colleague from another company that might be looking for extra help, or a little extra help that your business service is perfectly suited for. So consider posting about your products, your skills, or your services in local areas, like maybe on the neighborhood community mailbox center, or on like social media, or consider placing yourself on Angie's List, or even something like the app Nextdoor. So you might be really well served to even scroll through your Rolodex and get in touch with some people that you haven't chatted with in a long time. So this could be former customers or former colleagues, and just say that you're calling to check on them during a time like this, and you never know what could come from those friendly conversations. In this isolation era, people are so hungry for connection. They might be really glad that you called to say hi, and in fact, they may be going through something that you're perfectly positioned to help with. So consider reaching out and focusing on those one-on-one connections starting around April 3rd through the month's end, and then especially you're hot around April 10th, 11th, and 12th. Now, quick word about April 10th, 11th, and 12th. Pay very close attention to any partnerships that are formed within around that 3-day period, because later on in May and June, you may have to either expand or restructure some of those partnerships that pop up from around that time frame. So this month, though, in April, I think that word of mouth is your best advertising agent. For my Capricorn and Capricorn rising friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is don't fight fate. So if you've been debating about whether or not to keep a job or an income source, current events could make the decision for you. So perhaps there's a job or investment that you've been wanting to get out of for a while. Well, the present situation could automatically aid you in that surrender. Or maybe it's a job or investment that you've been considering taking more seriously but weren't sure if you should. Well, the circumstances might allow it to really take off. So pay attention to the direction that the winds are pointing as soon as April 4th, and then follow through with the necessary steps to just see where it goes. And this is going to make it a little bit easier for you arriving around mid-month, the 14th and 15th of April. Either way, you may happily receive a surprising amount of support from some of your coworkers and colleagues and employees, and your daily work experience is actually going to improve just because you made a decision, accepted it, and started moving in that direction. So you could have an important conversation with a boss or make a key decision if you're a business owner around April 7th. Significant changes that are initiated this month, fun fact, are going to continue evolving with some important milestones in June and November. So stay tuned for more. Now, my Aquarius and Aquarius rising friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is to take action towards passion projects or people you're really passionate about. So 2020 is about unraveling in some areas while quietly starting to build in others. So there are certain partnerships and business practices that you're probably ready to release, and the necessary forces of the pandemic are going to help you do that. Meanwhile, I think there's some other opportunities that you've been awaiting to advance in the background that can make some serious strides because you've got a ton of extra time to work on them during this mandatory isolation. So get it into high gear around April 11th and April 17th and 18th. And the choice of where is the most profitable area to expend your energy, time, and money should be based on the decision of what is most inspiring to you and what you feel most passionate about. So, is there a new person, a new project, or a new field of interest that you've been wanting to entertain? Go for it. And you may discover that heading in that direction is later on going to be how the money comes together. Now, this month, your concern is not yet how the money is going to come together. Your concern is just about finding the inspiration and getting started. You're going to focus more on the money in May and June, okay? So, right now, focus on getting started, and initiative is especially favored for you in the second half of April. So, also on the backdrop, your household, your family life, or your location goals could be shifting. And this is also based on how some of your new passions in a particular project field of interest or a new passion for a person. So, let that gestate inside for a while. Are you comfortable with maybe your household, your location, or your sense of family life changing based on one of these passions? It'll play out later in the year. I also highly encourage you at this time to enroll in Business Coach Marie Forleo's B School. That's her business school program, because that's going to help you get your creative entrepreneurial endeavors started off on the right foot with some quality business backing. And for a little Kickstarter, I also highly recommend her book, Everything is Figure Outable. It's a great read, and it'll get you familiar with some of the principles you need to really follow your passions in a constructive way. Now, I have to say, I am a proud graduate of Marie Forleo's B School. In fact, I loved it so much that I did it twice. Yes, I went back a second year in the row because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and my business grew so much between the first year that I did it to when it was when I second time enrolled that I needed new information and new stimulus. So I can definitely verify that it's worth the commitment and the experience. I know you'll love it. I know you'll love Marie. Go check it out, guys. Now, for my Pisces and Pisces rising friends, my advice to you for the month of April 2020 is plan with patience. So the professional organization that you're affiliated with may be changing this year, or it could be that it's recently changed within the year. So you could feel stuck in limbo in April. On one hand, maybe you felt like things at this new organization were just finally taking off, and then wham, everything in the world went crazy and you were forced into home isolation. So perhaps you interpreted that as a setback. Or maybe you had just started to get into this new organization or new role and everything in the world went crazy. And so it threw you into the hot seat in an organization that's really under crisis right now. So it could be more than you were expecting. For some, I bet they were feeling like they were ready to fly the coop from a business organization. And they thought, oh, just as I was ready to fly to greener pastures, all of this happened in the world. And now I feel stuck or forced to stay, or that I should stay and ride it out with the team, right? So again, you're probably feeling like you're a little bit stuck in familiar waters and you feel like you can't move towards the future that you had planned for yourself. So realize that the best thing you can do in April is to face some of these internal struggles with a certain amount of grace. So frustration actually runs really high for you in the month of April. There's a lot of stifled energy. So your biggest goal is keeping your cool and planning ahead. So what I would suggest is around April 7th is the perfect time for plotting in the best way possible, of course. So interestingly, your planets this month are really stellar for internet-based work from home, which is ironic because, of course, that is what's being mandated by all our governments. So in a sick sense of irony, you're actually very well positioned this month to be at home, to work from home, and to learn how to use the internet and digital devices to successfully accomplish your work and your goals. So this could actually turn out well for you. In fact, what you may discover is that once everyone is allowed to return to normal, you have shifted a certain amount of your business or your daily work tasks to an online platform, and you don't really need or want to go back to the other way that things were before. So stay innovative about being both domestic and digital. And your strongest dates this month are going to be around April 3rd and then again on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. So my friends, this is where you should be focused with your time, your money, and your energy for the month of April so that you can have the most productive and profitable activities for your zodiac sign that's going to have the quickest payoff. So on a personal level, if you enjoyed this video and you're wondering what are the most profitable activities for your real horoscope, then get in touch to get ahead and let's get down to business. I would love to see you in my office or, for the time being, probably on a Zoom session in a private reading where we can take a look at your business chart, your personal chart, and see where you can be most profitable, happy, fulfilled, and successful. Until next time, my friends, this is Maurielle Laurenne, your Cosmic Coach on the Futurecast.